Okay, hi everyone, welcome back. Well, the subject of today's video is market capitalization. And let's start with a quick definition of what market capitalization really is. And one way to think of market cap is just to think of the worth or net worth of a corporation. And by the way, market capitalization is typically a phrase or a concept that's applied to publicly traded stocks. And that's because the general formula for market capitalization is simply the number of shares outstanding times the market price per share. So don't get too freaked out about those two things yet. We're going to go into what those mean here in a minute. But that's really what it is. So if you take number of shares outstanding, multiply that by the market price per share, you'll get the market capitalization. And again, it's a generally a measure of net worth or a measure of worth of the corporation judged this way. And so you can see how, even though, as we described in the video on IPOs, even though we showed that once an IPO is over, that the change in the share price doesn't really affect the company's balance sheet. Remember, we had a little scenario where there was you and here was me, and you purchased a share for $10, and then at some point, and that $10 was the IPO. So here was the corporation over here, and you purchased that share in an IPO. So you gave the $10 to the company, and the company gave you a share back, one share. That was the IPO. But then down the road, you decided you wanted to sell that share to me, and because the company was doing well, I felt that the value of that share was $11, and so I paid you $11 for that. But that additional $1 didn't go back to the company; it stayed with you, right? But nevertheless, this $11 is what I feel the company is worth. And if this is really the market price, if this is a whole bunch of me's out there, forming a market for the shares of this business, then and $11 is the going price for that share of stock, then you can make a pretty reasoned judgment that that's a fair market value for that share of stock. And when you multiply that by how many shares are outstanding, here it was just one share, but in most cases it's going to be several million shares, and that represents the equity in the business. Then you multiply those number of shares times the market price, and it gives you net worth. And again, just to kind of draw this point home one other way, we'll come over here and draw our balance sheet here again really quick. And you'll remember, if you've watched it, oops, well, I'll keep doing this, but I didn't mean to draw that part right there. So just imagine that part isn't there. We have assets, as you remember, liabilities and equity. And so what we're really doing is we're focusing down here on this section, because when you look at the balance sheet of any corporation, it's going to tell you the number of shares outstanding, right down here in this section. And then when you go to Yahoo Finance or CNBC.com or some other place to find the market price per share, you can multiply that price, or the newspaper, you can multiply that price per share times the number of shares outstanding here. And again, that's your indication of net worth or equity. Okay, and that's what we're talking about. So hopefully that makes sense how this all ties down together. Well, what I wanted to do in this video in particular was to talk to you about some different terms that come up in market capitalization that you may have heard of. And I think the best way to do that is just to draw a little line. It's not really a timeline, but just a spectrum line, if you will. And what we're going to do here is draw three, kind of divide this up, and we're going to call this small, mid, and large. And you can add the word cap to the end. So small cap, mid cap, and large cap. And so if you've been around investing, or you've you're doing some research and you come across these terms, small cap, mid cap, and large cap. Well, here's basically what they mean. And we'll start up here. So large cap is obviously the term that's given to the largest companies out there that are publicly traded. And a conventional cutoff is somewhere between 5 and 10 billion. And it kind of depends on what you're reading to decide if it's 5 or 10. But that's a pretty decent range that will capture most definitions of what a large cap stock is. And so this line here is market cap. And yeah, by the way, I forgot to mention that this whole thing is market cap. All right. So we've kind of defined market cap up here as the number of shares outstanding times the market price per share. And so you can see that a large cap company is one whose market capitalization is somewhere between $5 and $10 billion. That's pretty sizable. A mid-cap company is a company whose market cap is probably on the order of 3 to 8 billion. And then a small cap company is typically those whose market cap is under 3 billion. All right. So you can see that even though we define this as a small company or a mid-sized company or a large cap company, 3 billion in net worth is still a pretty sizable business. We're not talking about a mom and pop auto repair shop by any means. These are still very, very meaningful and substantial corporations that are doing business. These large cap stocks, all of the Fortune 500 are going to be up here. So if you've ever heard of the Fortune 500, they're all going to be up here in this large cap category. And there are some other indexes, and the S&P 500, of course, will be up here too. There are some other indexes that it's way beyond what we're doing here, but there are certainly other what they call them indexes that measure small and mid cap stocks. And so we'll probably talk about those in another video that's a little bit more detailed for that. But that's pretty much the point of this here, is just to help you understand what market cap really is. And just as a way to review real quick, the market cap is the number of shares outstanding times the market price per share, and that gives you the market cap or market capitalization. It's a measure of net worth, and we kind of demonstrated that by showing you how the number of shares outstanding will appear here on a balance sheet. So go pull out a balance sheet of any large corporation, and it will tell you the number of shares outstanding down here in this portion of their balance sheet. And if you multiply that by the market price per share, that gets you the market cap. So you can see how market price market cap. You just draw a triangle here. Market cap equals net worth, which kind of comes down here to this piece here. Okay, so that's we'll stop along our little trip. And then when you hear the term small cap, mid cap, and large cap, here's what we're talking about. We're talking about corporations that are under $3 billion are in the small cap category. Corporations that are between 3 and 8 billion are in the mid cap category. And those that are between 5 and 10 billion are in the large cap category. All right? And another word that you may have heard used primarily for these here is blue chip. If you've heard the term blue chip stock, in most cases that means a company that's a large cap company, and it comes with some other features. We won't go into that here, but you'll find blue chip companies primarily are in this section over here. Okay, well, out of time. Hope this was helpful to help explain what market capitalization is, and we'll see you next time.